Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the resource workshop for graduate students run by Survivor Advocacy Program. I will start to introduce myself in this office and then hand it to the mic to Casey so she can introduce herself. So I'm Yejin, I work as a survivor advocate in here. We have Kim Russell as a director. Casey and I are the advocate, and Cassie also one of our advocates who work as graduate assistants. So Cassie will co-presenting with me today. So could you introduce yourself, Cassie?
Hi everyone, like Yejin said, my name's Cassie. I'm a licensed social worker and an advocate, also a graduate assistant for the Survivor Advocacy Program. So just thank you all for coming, and we hope you enjoy the workshop.
Okay, great. So I'm going to talk about sexual harassment mainly, and Cassie will present more information about SAP and other available resources for you. Let's start up the conversation with reviewing the graduate student's life. So far, our office is program or workshop present mainly with undergrad students, and we didn't really wanted to limit our populations, but I guess it was a natural thing happen since our graduate students are very busy and everything. And also the statistics said that undergraduate women have a most high percentage of the sexual violence victimization. But however, I really thought that this workshop is beneficial for graduate students too, because graduate students aren't free from the sexual violence since there's not a thing like typical survivor. Sexual violence or relationship violence can happen to anyone regardless of their program, student status, or anything. Also, according to AAU, which is the Association of American University, graduate students experience sexual harassment by faculty more often compared to other groups on campus. Therefore, we decided to give more knowledge about sexual harassment to you, who's your graduate students, so we can be the resource for you. To see more closely, there are several reasons why the victimization of sexual harassment by faculties often occur to the graduate students. The research has said that this population work closely with the faculties and they tend to hold more complex professional relationship rather than just, the teacher and student relationship. And also it means that there are more room to have coercion or violent work environment, which causing a lot of sexual harassment. I'm just emphasizing one type of cases as sexual harassment by faculty because it was told by the research I just mentioned from the previous slide, but actually we can see other various types of sexual harassment happen on campus too. The problem is that the graduate students sometimes don't even get the opportunity to get the right education about this topic or even don't know what is the available resource on campus for them. I also had a life as a graduate student before this job, and sometimes at the time I didn't even know that what the services available for me were only for the undergrad students. So based on those conversation, we can say that having this conversation or right information about sexual harassment and the resource is very important for a graduate student. So let's talk more closely about sexual harassment. Here are some keys. The question I prepared. So when I read this question out, please guess the right answer for each question. So first question number 1. If your intentions are good, your behavior isn't harassment. Question number 2. If everyone else thinks a co-worker's behavior is okay, you should just accept it even if it bothers you. Question number 3. People from all gender identities can be harassed. Question number 4. To qualify as sexual harassment, the parties have to be of the opposite sex. Let's see the answer. For question number 1, the answer is false. Even though the person's intention was good, it doesn't promise that it didn't offend the other person. Therefore, if the behavior can categorize as sexual harassment, the intention is not counted as an excuse. And yeah, the second one, The answer is also first, you don't need to follow how other people think. And the most important thing is how you feel about it. The reason why I'm saying is really certainly because even if the other people like say something about like, like, oh, I like this person, I don't feel in that way, they might hold different dynamic or relationship with you. I mean, with the person. So it will make the huge differences of how we feel about the same behavior, based on what kind of like the dynamic, the relationship holding we have like with the person. So the feelings we have can't have the same. So therefore, I'll say the answer is first. And third question, the answer is true. Yes, every people can experience sexual harassment regardless of their gender identity. And also, it means that they can make the perpetrator of sexual harassment too. And lastly, first, sexual harassment not just occurred by the opposite sex. So I bet you all make the great answers. And let's see more closely about the definition of sexual harassment. So sexual harassment includes unwelcome sexual advance, requests for sexual favors, and other, verbal or physical harassment of sexual nature in the workplace or learning environment. It doesn't always have to be specific about the sexual behavior or directed at the certain person. So we can see that sexual harassment contains a large and broad meaning, like I guess larger and broader meanings than we expected at the beginning. There are so many things also under this iceberg, and I have the iceberg picture in here. So iceberg of sexual harassment can divide into three big chunks. So first of all, sexual coercion. It is unwanted sexual activity happens when you are pressured, tricked, threatened, or forced in a non-physical way. For example, a boss make their employee to believe they owe sex to the boss by pressuring, tricking, or sometimes threatening with their power over. It can count as sexual coercion and sexual harassment happen in the workplace. The second part is unwanted sexual attention. It covers a huge range of behavior from being touched without permission to rape and sexual assault. These two big part of sexual harassment are quite well known to the people. But this can be, representative image of when people think about, oh, sexual harassment. However, the third part, gender harassment, sometimes easily forget. Gender harassment is also a very crucial part of sexual harassment. This is a form of sex discrimination. It occurs when one person harasses another person for reasons relating to their gender or the gender which they identify. It generally involves like stereotypes according to the roles and functions associated with the particular gender. In this image, there is a good example to show what the gender harassment is. If someone insults working mothers using the word like "you can't do this job with small kids at home," it can be considered as gender harassment because it contains the sex discrimination within the words. So, since we just learned about what kind of behavior under the sexual harassment definition, we'll see how the victimization can impact on the person. There are so many effects in various ways that how this sexual harassment can impact. First of all, this type of victimization can cause emotional effect, including anger, fear, and all type of negative feelings. And it also can impact mental health like PTSD, anxiety, depression, and even suicidation. People sometimes also can have physical effects, including headache, sleep disturbance, or eating disturbance. And also, I wanted to emphasize that we just see that there's a various way to get impacted, and every person can have different reaction effect, and it can be the same, even though the experience are similar or same victimization. So we need to keep in our minds that there are various ways to experience this impact, and it can be the same. So then, if this effect of victimization can be various and very impactful on the people, like we just learned, then why is it so hard to report sexual harassment? Actually, there are so many reasons, and I only put some of them in this slide. Like, it can be a list of their career, financial difficulties, and pressuring from other people. I hope like everyone is currently watching this video have this moment to think about what else can make this reporting difficult. And thinking that way, we can realize that there should be so many reasons to make difficult to report sexual harassment, even though it is very difficult and it is very impactful on our lives to experiencing this victimization. So then, it will tell us that we cannot judge or blame the survivors about their own decision and their own difficulties experiencing the sexual harassment. Then what we should do if we experience sexual harassment? Here are some recommendations. First of all, watch out the boundaries. Sometimes I know it's real difficult to know that whether your feelings and your uncomfortable feelings are valid or not. Then please think back on whether you can hold the boundary with the person. And if you feel like it's violated your boundary and you can consider, to talk per person about the support system, then please think it as, this can be a sexual harassment because my boundary is already violated. I don't feel free to talk it out. Then maybe that's the sign that it's violated your boundary and which is can consider as sexual harassment. And please document everything. Here is a form of incident log recall. If there's anything happened to you in the workplace or learning environment, I recommend you to log all the details with the factual information. Since sexual harassment is not a criminal charge and only considered civil offenses now, we can only bring this to the police report. But we can report the school based on the school policy, so please consider to record the matter in time if it is possible. And keep it yourself until, making your decision on yourself to report or not. And lastly, and most importantly, please consider using this available resource for you. From here, I will let Kizzy to introduce the available resource for you from now on.
Thanks so much, Yejin, for providing us with an in-depth look at sexual harassment. So moving forward, like Yejin said, we're going to just look at some background information of SAP and discuss the services that we provide. So at the Survivor Advocacy Program, we believe that all survivors have the right to be respected, be supported, report to law enforcement and or the University Equity and Civil Rights Compliance, so ECRC. We believe that survivors should be safe at work, at home, or at school. They should receive medical attention and receive counseling and other supportive services. We also believe that they should be informed of all options and the outcome of any formal proceedings. The SAP seeks to provide confidential support and advocacy services. So some of these might be medical advocacy, such as accompanying survivors to SANE exams, or legal advocacy, so attending police interviews or court hearings with the survivor, as well as institutional advocacy. So that may be assisting survivors through the Title IX process. We also do employment or academic advocacy. So advocates can help secure classroom accommodations or help contact the survivors' employers and professors. Other advocacy measures are like safety measures, so we can provide door or window alarms and help students secure no contact directives if needed. So advocates seek to empower victims and survivors by providing victims and survivors with a place to feel heard, respected, and informed, assisting victims and survivors in making informed choices by providing them with general information about their reporting options and available resources, as well as accompanying survivors as requested to the things mentioned earlier, like SANE exams, police interviews, court hearings, or Title IX hearings, and offering short-term crisis intervention and referrals for other supportive services. So here's the chart that explains our services more in depth, and this can be found at our website, So you can find that at ohio.edu/survivor. So who does SAP serve? Ohio University students who have experienced sexual assault, domestic violence, stalking, sexual harassment, or relationship violence. So this is at any point, and it does not have to be current or recent incidents. We also serve family and friends of survivors, so we refer to them as co-survivors, and the survivors of ongoing or current violence and those that have had experiences in the past, so maybe childhood trauma. Students who question if they are in abusive relationships, we also serve that population as well. So right now, due to COVID-19, we unfortunately have to work remotely, so we serve students via Teams or phone. So if a student visits the hospital or police station, we can still accompany them virtually. So you can contact us using our after hours line in the bottom right-hand corner. To reach the Survivor Advocacy Program, we have a few options. So you can book online using our bookings website, which is provided in the slide, or you can email us to book at survivor.advocacy@ohio.edu. You can also use our hotline again there. And since we are in person at the moment, we can't use drop-in hours, but we can still meet you virtually. So maybe you come across a friend or a family member who is a survivor and needs your support. So consider using phrases like, "I'm sorry this happened to you," or "It's not your fault," "I believe you," "You are not alone." You can also ask, "Are you open to seeking medical attention?" "You can trust me," and "This doesn't change how I think of you." So SAP offers a lot of great resources, one being these bulletin board packets, which include all the content and layout guides. So please feel free to download these PDFs on our website and hang them up wherever you feel is necessary. So some resources on campus and off campus. So on campus, we have the Survivor Advocacy Program. We have CPS. We also have ECRC. And then off campus, we have Survivor Advocacy Outreach Program and My Sister's Place. So finally, SAP wants our students to know that the school's definition of sexual harassment listed in the Title IX policy, which you can see on the slide, does not necessarily meet SAP's definition. So if you or another survivor feel that you were harassed, but what happened doesn't meet the Title IX's definition, an advocate is still available to meet with you and provide services.
Okay, so this is the end of our workshop. Please, if you have any question after following this video, please contact us through this email or call or our Twitter. Like, we are open to accept any question you have about this workshop or anything else. And the last slide I have, I know the graduate student life is really hard, like this meme, like you have all the responsibility to juggle with, like your academic works, maybe your like work for your living, anything else. But I wanted to emphasize in here that self-care is also one of your responsibility and it's not a luxury. So I hope you take care of yourself well and be responsible about like charging yourself to do more work you want to do. We are always here for you to take care and everything. And our YouTube video also have like some meditation if it's helpful for you, so feel free to use as a resource. So thank you for attending our workshop and hope we can follow up you if you need any assistance. And yeah, thank you so much.